are good, some are not so good. Because sometimes there are those folks that in our minds, you just cannot have a good relationship with. But you know, what God wants, I believe God wants us to be authentic in our relationships. So in order to do that, we have to start to think as God thinks. And enter into our relationships in the way that God would have us to do. And to do that, we know that sometimes in our relationships, there's going to be pain. Sometimes there's going to be hurt. How do we get through that? Let me ask you. You don't have to raise your hand, but how many folks this morning have ever been hurt in a relationship? Either a friend, family member, or somebody you loved, or somebody you trusted. And you've been hurt in that relationship. What did you do? How did you go on? Today, as we look at our authentic relationships, we're going to look at, well, first of all, we're going to see that God wants us to forgive one another. And the only way that we can be authentic in a relationship is we have to model the example of Jesus and forgive one another. And forgive those sins. Now last week we saw that the relationship isn't about us. And it's all about just, not the selfishness, but we're to be selfless. We're to put others first and give to others rather than ourselves. And we're not to enter into relationships for what it'll do for us. But even when we do all that, sometimes those relationships are tough. And sometimes there's hurtful things in those relationships. So God wants us to forgive. So today we're going to look at an Old Testament story. One that you may be familiar with or maybe you're not. But we're going to see how God wants us to forgive in our relationships. And the story that we're going to look at in Genesis 45, now, you actually are going to have to read from about chapter 42 on to get this whole story. But it's the story of Joseph. Now, if you're familiar with the story of Joseph, you know it's a wonderful story in Scripture. But let me kind of give you some of the background leading up to today. Joseph was the favorite son of his father. He was the oldest son of his father's favorite wife. Now, let me just stop for a moment. If your father has to say he has a favorite wife, I can guarantee you there's going to be problems. But in this case, he had 4. And so his favorite wife. And through all that, he was the favorite. And his father made no bones about showing it. He let everybody know. All the other boys would go out to the field and take care of the flocks to herd. Oh, Joseph got to stay home. Everybody else dressed in normal clothes. Father made a coat of many collars for Joseph. One that he could wear proudly. And don't you think it didn't go to Joseph's head either. Because Joseph would sometimes kind of work his brothers up a little bit. Had a dream last night. I dreamed that we were all in the field and all of a sudden we all had a sheaf of wheat and all of your wheats bowed down to my sheaf of wheat. He knew he was the favorite. And he used that. So you can imagine how the brothers felt about Joseph. He wasn't the oldest. He was just the oldest of the favorite wife. But he was daddy's favorite. So there was resentment. And there was anger. And every time that Joseph would be around, you could probably just almost imagine that welling up inside them. To one time, the brothers were all out in the field. Father says, Joseph, will you go out and check on your brothers and see what they're doing? Oh, don't you hate that in assembly? Go see what your brother is doing and see if he's being good. My sister probably heard that 100 times. So here goes Joseph. He's going to find out to give the report to Daddy. But when he comes, his brother goes, oh look, here comes the dreamer. So they start scheming amongst themselves. Let's take him and throw him in a pit and leave him there to die. Then they do. Joseph comes and they grab him and they throw him in the pit and they're just going to leave him there. So much for Daddy's favorite boy. But one of them kind of having some second thoughts and he wanted, okay, I'm going to come back and get him out later when nobody's looking. And all of a sudden they see this band of gypsies come along. Hey, got a better idea. Rather than us leaving him here to die, that'd be on us. Well, why don't we get him and let them take him. Well, why don't they take him off? So they do. They get Joseph out of the pit and give him to the gypsies and send it. He ends up in Egypt, where he's going to be sold as a slave. So now, Daddy's favorite is a slave in Egypt. But as God would have it, Joseph ends up in the house of Potiphar. And God's blessing Joseph even in this foreign land. And because, they can see that, hey, God, something is blessing. It must be a God blessing this boy. And everything he does is right. And everything he touches turns to money. And so Potiphar makes him an important man. Matter of fact, Joseph is going to have control of everything in Potiphar's possession. He's going to be the one that Potiphar don't even know what he has. Because Joseph takes care of all of it. So you say, okay, it was a terrible story, but now it's gotten a little better. But it doesn't end there. Because there's one thing Joseph couldn't have, and that was Potiphar's wife. But there was one thing Potiphar's wife wanted that she couldn't have, and that was Joseph. So one day when Joseph's in the house, Potiphar's wife gets him in the corner. And Joseph says, not me. And as he takes off, she grabs hold of his coat. He just shuts his coat and out the door he goes. Well, that scheming female. She started screaming and hollering. When they come to see what was the matter, they come in and goes, it was Joseph. He tried to have his way with me. And see, I even still have his coat. So now he went from highest in command to Potiphar's house to Potiphar had him thrown in jail. And he's going to spend some time in jail, but there he makes some friends. One's a baker, one's the taste tester for the king. And both of them have a dream. Joseph says, let me tell you what they mean. And he was right. One of them was going to get free, one of them was going to be killed. And the one that gets free, he says, when you get to the king's presence, you remember me. Tell him I'm not here for nothing, something I didn't even do. Oh yeah, I will. Guy gets free, Joseph's still in jail. Completely forgets about Joseph. There he is in the prison. Nobody's remembered him. Till one day the king has a dream. And the king, Pharaoh says, I don't know what the interpretation is. I don't know what it means. I can't sleep. It's kept me up all night. Calls in all the smart guys in the land. Says, tell me what the dream means. Well, if you'll tell us what you dreamed, we'll tell you what it means. Well, no, I'm not doing that. You tell me what it means. Finally, remember the guy from prison? He says, you know what? Back when I was in prison, I had a dream, and this guy told me exactly what it meant. He said, bring Joseph out to get him all cleaned up, bring him in there. He tells them his dream. So Pharaoh, okay, this is what's going on. There's going to be 7 great years of plenty in the land. In the land of Egypt, the crops are going to grow beyond belief. But then after that, there's going to be 7 years of drought. There's not going to be anything. And king, if I was you, I would store up those 7 years so that you have an abundance for those 7 lean years. Pharaoh says, I'll do it. And you are going to be in charge. Now Joseph is back on top again. He's the second highest command in all of Egypt. He's in charge of all the grain and all the stockpiles. He's in charge of making sure it gets brought in and laid aside so that when it comes to the time of the famine, they'll have food to eat. Well, just as Pharaoh dreamed, just as Joseph interpreted, all of a sudden, 7 good years are over. 7 bad years have come. Nothing's growing. Ground says everything's so dry you can't even plant nothing. There is absolutely no crops. But they've stored up. Egypt still has plenty. Some of the outlying areas start hearing, hey, Egypt has food. So they start coming to Egypt to buy food from them so that they could live as well through this drought. And about 2 years into this drought, there's Joseph. He's sitting there and he's taking the money and he's divvying out the food and he's in charge of all that. And he looks down at his next customers. And lo and behold, it was the brothers who had sent him to slavery. See, the drought was in their land too. And they'd heard there was food in Egypt, so they went to buy some. Joseph knew immediately who they were. But now Joseph looked like an Egyptian, and they sure wasn't expecting to see him there. So the brothers didn't know who Joseph was. And right there before him, with him in command, He could do whatever he wanted to them. He could make them pay. And they were at his mercy. What was he going to do? Now, as we look at this story of Joseph, it's a great story. But we need to look at it in view of our relationships. Those that we are with. Those relationships, whether friends or neighbors, co-workers, other folks in the church, family. What about our relationships? What could we learn about forgiveness from Joseph? First thing I want you to see, I want you to know the extent of the brothers' sin. Now, I've told you a lot of it. But I want you to think of the extent of their sin. And to understand that, you have to first look at the nature of their sin. Just what was wrong with the brother? Yeah, they didn't like him. He was a favorite. How many of us would probably say that they had good reason not to like him? He was the favorite. We weren't the favorite. So maybe we think he had it coming. But we need to understand what has happened to Joseph. And to understand the nature of their sin, number one is the conspiracy to murder. Now, they didn't do it, of course. They cast him in the pit, they got him back out there, but they sold him to slavery. They really didn't kill him. So we could be thinking, they thought about it, they even tried, they decided against it. They're much better now. But the reason they cast him in the pit in the first place was because of the anger that they had for him. You know what Jesus tells us in the New Testament about anger? He said if we hold anger in our heart towards someone, that's the same as murder. So we might as well say, even though they didn't actually go through it, because of the anger enough to sell their brother into slavery, there was this conspiracy to murder. So when they're standing before Joseph, he could be thinking, these are the guys who tried to kill me. These are the guys who wanted to send me off. These are the guys that sold me. So what was the extent? Well, number one, it was conspiracy. Number two, it was the anger. Anger with a family member. Now, for us today, we might think, that's not a big deal. Because let's face it, how many of us have been angry with a family member before? Most of them. Don't raise your hands. But most of us. At some point in time, there's been somebody in our clan that didn't think the way we did. They didn't act the way we did. They didn't do what we said we thought they should do. So there's that anger. You say, it's no big deal. Anger and the brothers. Boys will be boys. Do you know what the Bible says about that? Scripture tells us in 1 Timothy chapter 5 that the way we treat our family is to be held at a higher standard than even the way we treat others. What we do for our family is at a higher standard. So when we look at it, what was the problem? He said, not only the conspiracy of murder, it was the fact that they hated his guts. They didn't want anything to do with him. They wanted to get rid of him. And the third thing was, I call it sin's cover-up. Now, Joseph didn't know anything about the rest of this story with them. Because you see what they did after they sold him off for slavery. And they sent him off to who knows, they didn't even know where. They said, they think, we're rid of him. But what are we going to tell Dad? If we come home and Joseph's not there, it's going to be a sorry day in our household. So what we tell Dad, so they take his coat. There's only one like it. His dad had made it for him, that coat of many colors, and they tear it up. And they soak it with blood. And they come in. Dad, we found this coat. Isn't this the coat of your son? Isn't this the coat of our brother Joseph? Dad looks at that coat, ripped to shreds and covered with blood. And we didn't find him anywhere. Dad could only assume the worst. So they'd have not only tried to kill him, sent him off to slavery. Now they're back lying to their dad about it. Now Joseph didn't know all of this, but they try to cover it up. And you know, when we try to cover up sin, it's not a one-time thing. Because see, it's going to be 22 years from the time that they sent Joseph off until this day that they're there before Joseph. 22 years that they're going to wait. You imagine those nights when Dad's grieving and the brothers still didn't tell. Those days when Dad says, I sure miss him. And they didn't say a word. Sin's cover up. But now, they're in front of Joseph. They've come to get food. And they are at the mercy of the one that they've done so wrong. Well, we looked at the nature of their sin. But let's look at the impact of it. It's kept eating away at them. Day after day after day. They knew what they'd done. They couldn't just put it behind them. Matter of fact, in the story, they're going to come to Joseph one time. And Joseph's going to know that it's him, but he's not going to tell them. And he's going to ask him about the family. And do they have a dad? Do you have any other brothers? Well, yeah, we have dad. We have a younger brother living at home, but he's the baby. And see, he's Daddy's favorite. Daddy used to have another favorite, and he's no more. And so now he's got to stay with Dad. Joseph says, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you food this time. But if you come back again, you're going to bring that little one. I want to make sure you're telling me the truth. You're not spies or something. Oh, I don't know. He says, until you do, I'm going to put one of you in jail. So one of them's going to stay in jail until the day they go get their other brother and bring him back. Of course, that would be Joseph's full brother. But they didn't know that. So they're waiting. So one of them's in jail. Well, finally, it comes the day and they got to go. They're out of food. Everything they bought in Egypt's gone. Jacob says, go get it. They said, Dad, we can't. You know, we done left one boy in jail. He said, if we don't bring Benjamin back, then there's no food for us. So finally, Dad says, okay, take him with you. They go get the food, and Joseph does another test to them. You know, he gives them their food. They reunite with their brother. They start to leave, and he puts their money back in their bags, and also puts his cup. Let them get down the road a little bit. They go stop them. Hey, you stole from us. No, we didn't. They go to search their bags, and guess what they find? All the stuff that they didn't think they had. They bring them back down their stead. Boy, this is not good. But every time that happened, you know what the brother's response was? This is probably just payback for that thing we did to Joseph. You know what that tells me? It had been eating them up. There hadn't been very many days that went by in their life that the sin that they'd done hadn't impacted. Now, you know what? For us, how many of us have done that? Oh, we might not be second in command of Egypt. Our brothers haven't tried to kill us. But you know what? We've been hurt. We've been hurt in relationships. Maybe it was a good friend. Maybe it was a family member. Maybe that hurt's been there for a mighty long time. What do we do? Let's look and see what happened to Joseph. Let's start in chapter 45, verse 1. Then Joseph could not refrain himself before all them that stood by him. And he cried, cause every man to go out for me. And there stood no man with him while Joseph made himself known unto his brother. And he wept aloud, and the Egyptians in the house of Pharaoh heard. And Joseph said unto his brother, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? And his brother could not answer him, for they were troubled at his presence. And Joseph said to his brother, come near to me, I pray you. And they came near, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold in Egypt. Now therefore be not grieved, nor angry with yourselves, and you sold me hither. For God did not send me before you to preserve. For God did send me before you to preserve life. And these 2 years has a famine been in the land, and yet there are 5 years in which there shall neither be eating, earing, nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve you a posterity in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. So now it was not that you sent me here, but God. He hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. Haste ye, and go up to my father, and say to him, thy son, Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all of Egypt. Come down unto me, tarry not. And thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thou shalt be near unto me, thou and thy children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks, and thy herds, and all that you have. And there will I nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all thou hast come into poverty. And behold your eyes, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, and it is my mouth that speaketh unto you. And ye shall tell my father of all my glory in Egypt, and of all that you've seen, and ye shall haste and bring down my father hither. And he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept upon his neck. Moreover, he kissed all his brethren, and wept upon them. And after that, his brothers talked with him. See what happens here to Joseph? All of a sudden, his brothers are there. They have sinned greatly against him. I wonder, if you were Joseph, what would you have done? Let's look at this one. What could Joseph have done? In that place, at that time, those that have sinned so greatly against him, they're there. And he's in charge. How would you have responded? If you were in that place, how would you have responded? Well, I came up with a couple of things I think probably could have happened. Number one, anger. Just seeing them there before him could have brought back all that anger, all those hurt feelings, all those times when he thought about what they had done to him. It all could come flooding back. Because sometimes in our life, there's those little things that just trigger something. Now I realize that none of us would be grudge holders. But we probably know folks who are grudge holders. Of course it wouldn't be anybody, but we know folks like that. It happened 75 years ago to our grandparents, and we're not exactly sure what it is, but we know we're mad at them. And I saw one of them drive by a while ago, and they waved at me and honked their horn, and that's it, I'm done. Just like with Joseph. He could have, all that probably could have come flooding back. And he could have been angry. And you know what? I think with some of us, we probably would want to be angry. But the other thing I thought of was revenge. Joseph could have sought revenge. Here they are. They are going to pay. Now when you look at the story, when you go back and read the chapters leading up to 45, you might look at those and think, he did get a little revenge. He's going to put one brother in jail until they bring the other one back. He's going to, put something in their pack so that they look like thieves and bring them back and give them a hard time. I don't think he's getting revenge. I think he's testing. I think he wants to see if anything's changed. Because when they come back that second time and they had a little brother, and he puts the stuff in their pack, and Joseph's cup, I didn't tell you that it was in little brother's pack. And he says, you're a thief, you're going to throw us all in jail, you're going to kill us, you're going to do it. I'm not doing anything to all of you, but I am. And one of those brothers steps forward and says, Sir, you have to understand. This boy, his older brother was my daddy's favorite. And he's the one that's no more. And this is all he has left from his favorite wife. And if you put him in jail, there's no need for the rest of us to go back. And his brother says, Sir, if you would, put me in jail. Let him go. I will rot in his place if you'll just let him go. You know what Joseph realized? There'd been a change of heart. There'd been a change in his brothers. Now it's time for Him to reveal who He is. It's time for Him to show the forgiveness that's in His heart. It's time for Him to show what's taking place. So the third thing I want us to look at this morning, I want us to look at Joseph's forgiveness. How could he forgive them? How many of us would think that we could do that? After all they've done, to forgive them in the way that Joseph does. So as we look at his forgiveness, I want us to see a couple of things. Number one, forgiveness comes when you look at the hand of God in the situation. Forgiveness comes when he wasn't looking at it from his point of view. His point of view would have been, you guys did it to me, now it's time to pay. But notice what he tells them. See, it wasn't you that brought me here. It was God. It was God's hand that worked all this. As he goes through all the story and all of his life, he knows it's God's hand. He would never have been second in command in all of Egypt if he hadn't been thrown in prison. If while there he hadn't interpreted a dream. He wouldn't have been thrown in prison if he hadn't been placed in high priority in Potiphar's house. He wouldn't have been in Potiphar's house if he hadn't been sold to prison. He wouldn't have been sold to prison unless his brothers had tried to kill him. He says, it wasn't you that sent me here. It was God. He could have looked at it from a human point. And sometimes we do. We look at it going, oh, woe was me. I had no friends. They all talk about me. They do bad things behind my back. And they're just terrible, awful, terrible people. And that's just how it is. And I'm going to be mad at them for the rest of my life. We do, don't we? Joseph looked at it from a different perspective. He said, how can I see the hand of God in it? How can I see God's hand? I'll have to say, from the human perspective, I've had a few rough days this week. I'll tell you about one of them. We decided to go get shingles for my roof. Trust me, guys, you're all going to be hearing a lot later on about my roof. Later toward fall, yes, you will, trust me. But I could get them, and I could get them at a decent price, and it was going to get them. And we've involved half the church in this project. We were going to do this, and we've had like 16 trailers and 3 sets of brakes, and we had folks working on the bus. We had trailers parked out all the way to the end of the parking lot almost. And long story short, the night before we're going to go get the shingles, what we decided is we're going to Philippines to get our ministry stuff. We're going to pick up our shingles. We're going to take a smaller trailer, take a church bus, put the stuff in the church bus, bring back half the shingles. 2 of us was going to go. That was the plan on Wednesday night. Thursday morning we get up, everything's changed. One person calls and says, it's raining, I can't work. Will somebody go with you? We're taking the bus, why not? We got room. Come on. Another person calls and says, hey, such and such says they're going. I don't care if they use my truck, you can haul part of your shingles. All of a sudden those rusty wheels start turning a little bit. And I start thinking, okay, now I got a trailer pulled by the bus. I got another truck. The other person that was going with me to start with had volunteered to there, so I sent them a message, hey, can you take your truck? We ended up 2 trucks, a bus, and a trailer. Get all the shingles. We're coming back. Get pretty close to home. I'm in the front with the bus pulling the trailer. I have no idea there's anything wrong. I'm singing, matter of fact. I'm in the bus by myself. I can sing as loud as I want to. All of a sudden, I see the guy in 3rd place come whipping around the rest of us, pulls in front of me with his blinkers on, cuts me off, and sends me to the curb. I'm thinking, what's the matter with him? I look in my mirror, and there's smoke coming from the back of my trailer. Flat tire. No spare. So position number 3, who's now in position number 1, jump in the car. I said, I think I have a spare. I do stockpile a few things from now time to time. And I said, it's at the church and it's either here, here, or here. So they take off and they find the spare. And they come back and we put it on. We let it down. looks a little low, but it's okay. We're going to limp it down to a gas station, get some air in it. We go about 15 feet. Spare, flat. It took us about 2.5 hours longer than we planned for this trip. Time we got the shingles back. But you know, I got to thinking. After we finally got an aired up, holding air tire on that trailer, you know how we planned to go? 2 guys in that same van pulling that trailer. And you know what? No matter how many times you looked in that mirror, you cannot see the back wheel on that trailer in the mirror. We'd have probably done a whole lot more damage to that trailer. I could sit and complain all day about all my flat tires and just how my luck is so terrible. But you know what? God knew before we even started that tire would go flat. And He put into position friends. Joseph says, you didn't send me here. Folks, I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know how terrible and awful it may be in that relationship. But I want you to know something. God has a plan that will bring it all to good. So what does Joseph have to do? Forgiveness comes when you see the heart, the hand of God in a situation. But I want you to see something else about Joseph's forgiveness that I think is very important. And that's forgiveness comes when you keep the matter private. Forgiveness comes when you keep the matter private. Oh, we have a wonderful tool in our day. I'm so thankful for it. It can get the news out very quickly. It can get messages back and forth almost instantly. And it's almost 100% accurate all the time.
Facebook.
It's called Facebook. And Facebook is such a wonderful tool to use. Right now, folks that didn't come to church are sitting at home and they could watch this sermon. Because Facebook, wonderful tool. And you know what else is so wonderful for? It's a wonderful place for us to air our dirty laundry. You know, somebody made us mad. We're taking it out on them in Facebook world. I've seen it. You've seen it. Some of you've done it. Revenge through Facebook. That pastor did. He preached longer than he should have. And I'm just mad as can be. Anybody else with me? And 25 people will go, amen. But you know, look at Joseph. Even when it got down to the point he's going to reveal to his brothers who he really is, he tells everybody else, get out of the room. Why? Because it was a family matter. And family matters, and I want you to listen really carefully. Family matters should be dealt with in the family. Now let me go a little further with that, just because I know some of us have wheels like mine that turn really slowly. So let me expound. Church matters need to be dealt with in the church. Work matters need to be dealt with at work. Joseph says everybody else out except for these guys. Why? Because it was nobody else's business. For forgiveness, we don't need to let the whole world know how we're hurt. Jesus gives us a model. He says, if we go to the altar and we realize that we have a problem with a brother, go to that brother. Make things right. And then come back and worship me. He doesn't say share it on Facebook. He doesn't say tell all of our closest friends how terrible, awful, and mean that person is. Don't let out into all the world all the wrong that's been done to us. Because you know what happens then? We find it a whole lot harder to forgive. Joseph forgave his brother. It's me. It's Joseph, he said. Is my father still alive? He'd forgiven them. And he wanted them to know that he'd forgiven them. The third thing I want you to see about forgiveness is forgiveness comes when you've put God first in your life. Because you see, anything else, we want to be human. Anger. Revenge. We want to get even. We want to make them pay as much as we've hurt. But God wants us to have authentic relationships. And to do that, we must be willing to forgive. Now, folks, I don't know what's going on in your lives. I don't know what your past has held. I don't know what's in your present. But I do know this. God wants us to build as Christians relationships with others. And we can't do that. Let me repeat that. We can't do that if we're not willing to forgive. Jesus said, when you come to worship me, when you come to the altar, and you realize that there's a problem between you and somebody else, go to them and make things right. Now let me just give you a few pointers there. Because we have a world that makes that so easy. And we want to make it so easy. But Jesus says, go to them and make things right. It's nothing for me, at least 3 or 4 times a month as your pastor, to get Facebook messages or emails or texts telling me of all the things I do wrong as your pastor. I've got quite a collection of them. But Jesus said, if you have a problem with a brother, go to them. Maybe today, there's someone in your life you need to make that attempt to go to. You say, well, I can't. They're not around. I don't know where they are. Maybe they're gone. Then you go to God. Because He already knows that. And ask His forgiveness. Because you see, that's when we ask forgiveness. Go to that. If we've sinned against someone else, go to that person. But we always go to God. Because every sin is a sin against the Father. But you'll know the awesome thing about forgiveness? Many of us are going through life. We've got a weight around our shoulder. And we've carried that weight. And we've carried that weight to the point where we just don't want to keep on going. But God's willing to forgive and take that weight from us, put it aside, so that it's no longer wearing us down. Maybe today, as we sing our final hymn, you just need to go to God. Say, God, forgive me in my relationship with you. Maybe you need to ask for strength to go to that person and ask their forgiveness or forgive them. Joseph forgave his brothers. But God wants us to have real relationships. Authentic relationships. And folks, that starts right now with whatever God wants to do in your life. We're going to sing a final hymn. And as we do, I want that to be your opportunity just to pray. Maybe you want to come and kneel at this altar, take that burden and lay it there. Maybe right where you're at. But isn't it time to ask forgiveness? Or isn't it time to forgive others? Because real relationships involve forgiveness. Father, thank you for your word. And Lord, forgiveness isn't easy. So God, I pray for every person here. Because Lord, you know what you want to do in their lives. And you've been speaking to them. I pray, Lord, that they'll respond to you and say yes. Lord, maybe there's someone they need to forgive. Maybe there's someone they need to ask their forgiveness. Maybe, Lord, it's you. We need to ask your forgiveness. I want to pray for each person today, Lord, that your will be done in our lives. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please stand as we sing page 1.